Hello there folks, I'm Dan Brown from Sort of Interesting. Today you're joining me in the Banana Box studio to talk about my week on Huel. So, I basically thought it'd be an interesting experiment to try having a powdered food supplement, or replacement rather, for an entire week. So you basically take this stuff, mix it with water, and it's meant to give you all of the things you need in your diet for a day. Obviously, if you have it in the right portion amounts and so on. So, before we go any further, I just want to say firstly that I am in no way, shape or form an expert or even competent when it comes to things like dietary needs and nutrition, so don't take this video as any sort of real advice. This is just me sharing my thoughts as a random normal person, or some of you may say as an idiot. Anyway, let's get stuck in. So, firstly, did I manage to go a week only having this Huel? So, I've got to hold my hands up and be honest here. Not quite, but I was very close. Now, because the taste of this stuff, once you've whipped it up into the sort of almost water-based, weird, oaty milkshake type thing it becomes, it's because I'm not familiar, not used to having anything like this, like protein shakes or anything like that. It was a real shell shock of a flavour to me, and I did at first think I'm going to struggle to take this much of it in every day for a week. But in all honesty, I've got to say I soon got over that, and I'd say that now the vanilla stuff, just on its own with no extra flavouring, is actually quite nice since my taste buds and myself have got used to it. So basically, for the first couple of days, because I couldn't quite live up to my expectations of, oh yeah, I'll just down it and get over it, I did use a small bottle, a 500ml bottle of Pepsi Max to wash away, just have a swig of it after the Huel, to wash away the taste from my mouth. So that was one thing. And then on one of the days before I went to work to do an evening shift, I was doing a 2 till 10 at work, so I thought, because I'd been on Huel for a couple of days, I wanted to just have something just in case I went a bit woozy or something of that nature. So I did have 2 crackers with 1 slice of cheese before I went to work. So basically, apart from that, I don't think, off the top of my head, I don't think I had anything else other than Huel for a week. And how do I feel about it? Absolutely great. I've got to be honest, I was sort of sceptical of the idea, but I thought, I'm curious enough, I want to actually do this and see what it's like. And I've got to say, I'm a big believer in it now. But I also don't intend to have nothing but Huel going forwards. I have, however, bought another 4 packs, and I'm intending to have probably Huel as my morning and daytime sort of thing, and then a proper meal in the evenings, so that I'm getting like normal food or real food, whatever you want to describe it as, along with all of the general nutrients and vitamins that come in the Huel. And we'll talk about why I want to go that route in just a second. So basically, when it comes to how I actually feel and any sort of reactions that I had, good or bad, to this Huel stuff, we need to firstly start by saying I feel great. Firstly, I didn't have any bad side effects. I found that in terms of digestion and all that sort of stuff, I was absolutely fine. I wasn't running away to the toilet, as some people were curious about that in the comments on my previous video when I said that I was going to do this Huel experiment. So that's something that's good. Another thing in terms of digestion that I noticed, that I didn't, even though I was taking on about 2 litres of water a day, and I was having these 500ml of water and 100 and so many grams of Huel shakes, I wasn't running off to go for a wee all the time, in the same way that I find myself, certainly in days gone by, when I'd be having fizzy pop and sugary pop like that, I'd be quickly running off to the toilet straight away. So I don't know if that's because of the lack of caffeine and stuff maybe, and all the sweeteners and that go into the fizzy drinks and so on, but who knows. That was just something I noticed that I was definitely pleased about, as you can imagine. I didn't have any sort of heartburn or any food or flavours repeating on me, which was a marked improvement over my normal diet, so that was a big bonus for me. And also, now this is the real thing that may or may not interest any of you, I found that by probably about day 5 or 6, my skin, particularly on my face, where I've always had quite dry, quite bad skin, my skin feels better now and felt better from about day 5 of this than it has done for any time in my living memory, basically. So that's something, I don't know if you'd put that down to the wider range of things and vitamins and stuff like that were in my diet because I was having this Huel, or whether it's because of the huge amount of water I was consuming compared to what I would normally consume. Who knows? But that's a noticeable effect that's happened over the week that I was taking Huel as my pretty much entire diet. So that was something that I thought was quite interesting. And one of the other things that I would say is that I've had absolutely no sort of dizziness and no wobbliness or feeling weak or anything like that. And that's something that I have not as a regular thing. I don't want to make it sound like a health problem, but I have it every now and then, as we all get it. But I haven't had that at all, and I've had a pretty active week while I've been taking this Huel, which brings me to my next point of taking the portions and stuff. I tried to have slightly less than the 2,000 calorie a day recommended sort of guidance as an average intake, because I'm only a short little lad and I knew that I didn't need that much. And I've found that I have lost £2 over that week, which is something that I was intending and I was aiming to do. But I think that given how active I was during that week, and I am in general, I went for a walk every day of the week, at least one walk, sometimes 2 or 3 short sort of 3 to 4 mile walks each. And I had one day where I had a decent bike ride thrown in as well. So I think that had I have not been so active, then I would have probably either stayed at exactly the same weight or maybe even put on a little bit of weight. So in terms of if I was using this for the long term, I wouldn't be concerned that I was going to waste the weight or nothing, as long as I obviously was making sure I was having the right portion sizes. So the weight loss thing, that was exactly what I aimed, and that was one of the things I thought was quite good with this Huel stuff, that because you can sort of regulate, not precisely, but you can relatively accurately regulate roughly how many calories and stuff you're taking in with it, because you're literally scooping it up in these, I don't know if it's 20, I think it's 38 gram scoops. Anyway, that's irrelevant. That's stuff I'll let you look on their website for. So that was something that I thought was quite interesting. And really, overall, I've got to say, this is definitely not a paid review. Nobody's put me up to this. All of this stuff I've bought myself with my own money. I genuinely think it's great. I don't have a bad word to say about it. The taste, I suppose, is the big issue, but because it's all vegan and all that sort of stuff, it's difficult because they can't just chuck a load of random junk in there to make it taste really sweet, or bung a load of sugar in there so it's all of a sudden not healthy to have too much of it. And you see the sort of issue and the situation they're in. But as I say, once I got used to it, I could have it now and be absolutely fine. So I've bought 4 more bags of it, and I'm intending to... and a banana flavouring sachet as well. And I'm intending to go forward using this stuff, not all the time for every meal, but as probably a 1-a-day thing at minimum, and basically try and replace the snacking and stuff like that I do during the day with Huel, and then have something more proper or normal or real food, whatever you want to call it, as my evening thing. So that'll give me what I personally would feel more happy and more comfortable with. Still eating lovely food when I get the chance, but also knowing that from the Huel I'm getting a lot of stuff that's been missing from my diet for a very long time, as well as it being a good way to get a heck of a lot of water into your system too. So that was something I thought, yeah, you know what, I'm actually sold on this. I actually really like it and think it's a pretty simple, good idea. And of course, I mean, 4 bags, if I'm only going to have 1 or 2 of those a day, that's going to last me for months. So I've got to say, I really haven't got anything negative to say about it. One of the things I would say as well that I think is a big benefit, depending on your situation. Now, somebody like me who's very active and does a lot of walking and cycling, that sort of stuff, and has spent a lot of time in the past going camping for weeks on end and going all over the place, touring in a car, walking at the camp overnight, go up a mountain, get back in the car, go to the next one, all that sort of great fun stuff. I think if I'd have had something like this back then, it would have been ideal. A really simple, easy to make thing, and an easy way to get all of the sort of energy and nutrients, that sort of stuff, into your system, rather than trying to like cook stuff or try to go to a local corner shop somewhere in the back and beyond and pay a fortune to have whatever they've got in stock there. So something like this, I think, would have been really good. Now, what I've done and how I've been using it is basically in the evenings, well, throughout the day I'll have one, and sometimes I'll have two in the morning, sometimes I'll have one for breakfast and then two spread across the day and one in the evening, or two in the morning, two in the evening. But basically, after I've finished one, I rinse the shaker out and leave it to one side, and then once all of them are empty, I then make up a new batch of it. So it's just chuck the ingredients in the blender, pour it into a shaker, do the next one, do the next one. Takes me about 8 minutes from having no Huel to having an entire day's supply of Huel made up and in the fridge and the blender rinsed out. So when it comes to efficiency, it can't be beaten it probably can be beaten in the future when you can buy this stuff ready made up in a carton or something. But in all honesty, as an efficient, really quick, easy way to get stuff into your system, that's a pretty good way as far as I can see, in terms of it's 8 minutes to prepare an entire day's food, and not just any day's food, a nutritionally complete day's food. So that's something as well, that to get that much stuff into my diet and spend that little time in doing it, I'm really impressed and I'm happy with that. Again, did I miss normal food? Now, I've got a relatively strong will when it comes to certain things, so I wasn't really tempted or anything like that. But I will say, when I did finally have a bag of salt and vinegar crisps after I'd finished the Huel week, my goodness me, did that salt and vinegar taste nearly blow my head off. It seemed like the strongest flavour in the world after a week on Huel. But, again, that's why I say I wouldn't want to just have Huel forever. But at the same time, if somebody said the apocalypse has happened and this is all you can have, I would actually be pretty fine with it. I wouldn't be too concerned about it at all, to be honest. Right then, that's everything that I can think of to say about Huel. It gets a 2 thumbs up from me, to be fair. I think it's really an interesting idea. I think it's certainly in my case been of benefit to my health and my general broader dieting needs, not in terms of losing weight dieting, just in terms of dietary intake. And yeah, that's Huel. So until the next time, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in. Check out my other videos for loads more random stuff, loads of walking and cycling videos, life on a boat. And if you're really curious, check the links in the description and you'll find my boat life books for the Kindle. Surely that's got you curious enough to click. Anyway, until the next time, my friends, have an absolutely fantastic day. Keep it food worthy, keep it interesting, and of course, my friends, farewell.